Common Flock, finally back. It feels good. Feels good. Been so stressed out with stuff that I was out for a while, but I'm back. For good. Now I've got a lot of news. Don't mind if there's any background noise getting picked up, but I'm going to also try a new segment at the end that carries over. It's also going to be in the Golden Dome when it comes out. So you'll hear conflicting audio because I'll talk for kind of both. So I'll say some stuff for one and the other at the same time. So, anyways, new staff is in, and the big headline is people are criticizing Sirianni's first press conference. Why? Why? He had one press conference. He was a bit jittery, stuttery, but I get it. You're a new guy coming in. There's also a lot of media there that is ruthless with anybody. And not only that, why? Why wouldn't he be nervous? Wouldn't you be nervous if let's say you got hired to a position and you were a big headline at a company and you have to deal with press? And you go into your first press conference, you're jittery, you have one kind of like Sirianni, and people criticize you for it. That's not a fair judgment. That's the first press conference. Of course someone's going to not have their best reaction. Not only that, he's into a new role, which not only do you have to worry about press, you've got to worry about Philly press, which is way worse at times, but better at times than other press. You've also got to deal with talking to all the players on the staff, collecting your own staff, your positional coaches, your coordinators, kind of seeing around the locker room, building up chemistry with guys in that locker room. And you're not gonna be that perfect guy right away. No one is. No one's ever been that perfect guy walking into their first job. Or their first big job at a new position. Never. There's some special occasions where that happens in football. I guarantee somebody's going to bring something up, but whatever. And looking at the staff, Shane Steichen was hired in an offensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo was hired in as the pass game coordinator, so this is the first year that we will not have a quarterback coach and pass game coordinator in the same person. Defensive coordinator is Jonathan Gannon. Special teams coordinator is Michael Clay. And now looking at this, Sirianni 39, Steichen's 37, Gannon 35, and Clay is 29. That is one of the youngest staffs of coordinators and head coach there is. The quarterback from NCAA 10, Brian Johnson, was brought in for quarterback coach. Aaron Moorhead was brought in as the wide receivers coach. No, he stayed at receivers coach. See, I'm having a long day. Jason Michael was brought in to be the tight end coach. Stoutland stayed at O-line. Tracy Rocker was brought in for the D-line position. Nick Rollis was brought in as the linebacker coach. Denard Wilson was brought in as the DB coach. And Jay Valai was brought in for corners. Now, looking at everybody's connection, one sec. Steichen has known him for 4 years. Not known him for 4 years, whatever. See, trying to find this is not easy. But no, it's Gannon's 37, Steichen's 35, Clay's 29. And last time Philly had an offensive or defensive or special teams coordinator in his 30s was when they hired Dave Flipp back in 2013. That's very interesting. Yes, and Sirianni's known Steichen for 4 years. He says there's going to be a competition between the two or something like that. And so that they know each other. That's where he came in from. I think he came in from the Chargers. I could be wrong. Alright. And looking at Gannon here, not Gannon, looking at Sirianni, he coached a couple good play. He coached Castle when he was a quarterback coach at Kansas City. And then he's coaching a couple other places, including at the Chargers, where he coached Phillip Rivers as a quarterback coach, and as receivers coach, coached Keenan Allen. So he's had some high-profile guys that he's coached. And looking at Gannon and his connection with Sirianni, trying to find it. I'm not seeing much on his connection to Sirianni. But still looking. I could probably find it if I wanted to look for it, but I'm not going to look for it. And then I think Michael Clay also had one, but I don't know if I want to search for it right now. But Sirianni's had some experience in places, including quarterback and receiver coach. So expect something from him. Anyways, looking at this staff, it's a good collection. We're just waiting on a running backs coach, which could be anybody right now. We don't know. We haven't heard very much. So I don't really have a candidate I would want. I really kind of wish Deuce would have stayed, but I get why he left. I really do. He felt like he wasn't valued. But that staff is going to be tested, especially with how this offense is. And then let me transfer over into the next point. This is going to be the greatest transition ever. Scheme. What is the scheming going to be? Defense is going to stay in 4-3 at least for another year. They got to. With the pieces they have. You're not just going to move around BG, Cox, Avery, Sweat, Barnett if he stays. I think Sweat may his contract might expire too. And then those outside linebackers, because in a 3-4, you've got to move those guys around to fit your scheme. Avery would be a perfect 3-4 edge rusher linebacker, but he got brought into a 4-3 scheme and struggled, but then found himself on special teams. But he would blossom there. So would a couple other guys. But I think a couple other guys would struggle and have to go because of that 3-4 scheme. Chip Kelly actually ran a 3-4 scheme too. That was the last time they ran a 3-4. And then the offense, they could go either way, really. It depends on who they pick as their quarterback. There's going to be a competition going into training camp. And someone's going to mention the Wentz trade rumors of, if they get the right deal. Everybody's got a price, except for, Tom Brady and Tom Brady. That's about it. Everybody else has a price. The price could be very huge or very small, but it's a price nonetheless. Matt Ryan's got a price. Julio's got a price. Larry Fitz may not have a price. It depends on who offers and what's offered. I think he may have a price. Jason Kelsey's got a price. Keenan Allen's got a price. Everybody's got one. So Actually, 99% of players have one. I can almost guarantee. And looking at a couple other things that happened, Rivers is probably going to retire. I think he is. And then Breeze is going to retire, but I think he was thinking about coming back. He's probably going to pull he could pull a Brett Favre and come back, but I don't think he'd do that. I mean, he was destroyed at the end of the season. He was gone. He wasn't there. He had broken ribs at one point. He had a couple other broken things. It was just, he's getting battered. And then Michael Thomas went out and had surgeries. He was out for a while during the season. And that's not great. Hold on. Looking at the Super Bowl. Yep, this is going to be quick because I don't like either team. I got to pick the Chiefs. 31-27 Chiefs. Why don't I want the Bucs to win? Number 1, they've got home field. Number 2, I don't like Tom Brady. Number 3, I don't want Antonio Brown winning a ring. I don't want Antonio Brown getting anywhere near a ring as it is. I hate Antonio Brown. I do. That dude's a literal cancer. That and just... I'd like to see Bruce Arians get a ring, but I just don't want Tom or Antonio Brown to get it. And that Bucs offense doesn't have the weapons that the Chiefs do. The Chiefs have Edwards-Helaire at that running back spot. And then they've got Hill. Watkins may be back. Kelsey. And the rest of your receiving core, that's pretty good. Sean McCoy even may get a second ring. I'd be all for that. He deserved a ring at one point because he played really well in Philly. Then he went to the Chiefs, sat on the bench, and may get a second ring. I originally wanted the Bills and the Packers here, but it didn't happen, sadly. I wanted the Bills in so bad. I live in New York, and that says something that I want the Bills in because I haven't been very nice towards the Bills. Ever. I'm not nice towards the Bills. I don't know why. I'm never nice. I like to pick on Bills fans every once in a while. And Bills deserve it. They've sucked for years. They haven't really had that big break they've been waiting for since the 4 Super Bowls they made it to. And at one point, Brandon Best did his best impression of a Bills kicker and kicked it wide right when I called it. And you can ask who I was with at that time. I did call it. Anyways. There's not much news right now. There's not. Yeah, there's no news coming in today. Like, a lot of it's just Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. But I will say, where is it? Where's the exact quote? Goodell came out today and said he was unsure of what the 2021 season would look like and said, I don't know when normal will occur again. I don't think normal will ever be able to occur. Like the normal we used to will ever be able to come back anywhere, especially in football. But, I mean, there's multiple ways this could go, and one of them could be they just say, well, it's basically another strain of like the flu, something similar to it. In the case that it gets a lot of people sick, it will kill people, but a lot of people survive. Like I had it at one point, and it caused me to miss 2 holidays back in late December, early January. It was COVID scare number 3. Second and third time I had to get tested. And I had it for about 4 days. For the first 2, it really was killing me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, and then it disappeared. I had one family member that was feeling it for a week to a week and a half. I have somebody else, and nobody else got it. It was just us 3. And then the other one just had it for a couple days, and poof, gone. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially with another offseason coming up. It's good for the NFL because they don't have to worry about their playing season and stuff, and they can prepare if they need to about the future. As to where some other sports leagues are coming in right now, and with everything starting to open up and such, there's uncertainty to what's going to happen. Like around here, I know a lot of places are pretty relaxed with COVID and such, but like it won't go away until anytime soon. So this is going to be interesting to see what they do. But moving back to Philly, looking at the squad, I'm going to do a full off-season overlook soon in the future, within the next month, 2 months, unless something changes. But at the moment, I'm looking at a month to 2 months. When I give like an off-season outlook, I want to do it before free agency, but I prefer to do it right before, if I can. Not free agency, re-signing period, which is a little while after Super Bowl. I'm surprised Philly's not. Well, once they get their staff all in and settled, they're probably going to look at who to keep and who to let walk, which will be interesting, especially with the new squad coming into coaches. And with Sirianni having control of the 48-man game day roster, but Howie having the 53-man roster, say. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, too. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. So, this is the second part I was talking about, where it's joint between the Common Flock and the Golden Dome. If you're on the Golden Dome, this is the beginning of the podcast. Hi, hello. If you're on the Common Flock, this is the second part. At the end of this, I'll say goodbye to the Common Flock, and if you're on the Golden Dome, we'll just continue after. But college football's back in video game form. Finally, let's go. But it's in development right now, early stages, so it won't be out for at least a good 2 years. Not 2 years, at least a year. Keyword at least, like at the very least. So it'll be interesting. It does not have the NCAA license, which it depends on how the NIL vote goes, which is the license to get it. If I don't know when the voting is, I don't know much on the voting, but if it goes well, because I know it's going through votes from the government. If it goes good and it gets voted yes, EA is going to have to get the rights. If it doesn't go through, well, we're going to have a generic football game. And either way, you got to do a lot of what you've already done. They're going to set up a base game. They're going to create code. If they do it through Frostbite, this game may already be screwed, or at least partially. Because Frostbite, it sucks. It's going to be horrible gameplay. Then at least the management part or the Dynasty part should be good. In Dynasty, you've still got to have transfers. You've got to have a good recruiting system. You've got to have create a school or team builder back because it's going to be generic for the first year. Unless the license gets through and they can get everybody in by that first year. Rosters are going to be more sporadic and weird And teams are going to be generic, which I've heard, which they should have a lot of customization there because of that, hopefully. And some of the former NCAA employees I've heard rumored are working on it. So if that is true, that should be great. There's a lot of hype around this game, but they've got to do it right. Like I said, transfers, they've got to have good... it can't be on the Frostbite engine. If it is, you've got to do it as best you can. No meadows. Can't have meadows, or else people are going to get annoyed. Can't pump into Ultimate Team's money and stuff. You've got to have redshirting, which I guarantee they'll have. Got to have somewhat of a similar recruiting cycle to 14, because that's a lot of people want that. Got to have those team comparisons like they had with the bars. That was cool to see. If somebody had a better team. And I guarantee there's a lot more. I want to see a bit more gear. Like, there was not a lot of gear back in the other NCAA. Mouthpieces. Yes. Mouthpieces. Things they also gotta I'd like to see decommitting, but it depends on how they do that. And I don't know if they do that. Medical red shirts. It'd be nice to have that. It'd be nice to have... a very in-depth recruiting system. And there's a lot more that goes into that game that we'll just have to wait for. And like I said, they're probably going to build it from scratch, so it's going to take at least a year. And if EA is as dedicated as they say, I can't wait. I'm going to create a channel either today or tomorrow. Today's 4th. And going to talk gaming over there. NCAA, Madden, some 2K, probably not a lot, and some Call of Duty over on that channel, but for now, we're over here doing the podcast. And that doesn't mean production is going to slow down here. It might mean it ramps up, actually. I want to talk a bit more on Wentz and his situation, Sirianni and his staff, and more dedicated videos to that, which I want to get done soon. And I also want to start streaming a little bit more, which I should be able to start doing soon. And I'm looking to get a capture card and an HDMI splitter so I can run my 360 and my Xbox Original to my computer and through a capture card so I can play NCAA 14. I got NCAA 09, Madden 09. I'm building my collection right now of games so I can play. I've also got the original head coach, Madden 07 and Madden 05, which I'd love to play some Madden 07 on for a video, do a series through that. And 09, because 09 had injury rehab and stuff. And it had an interesting scouting system. I mean, it wasn't the greatest scouting system, but it worked for the time. And I'd love to play on NCAA 14 and start a Notre Dame. I've got 3 series I want to start doing if I can get a capture card and everything. And a splitter was Notre Dame, North Texas, in Northern Illinois, and then a dynasty. That's what I'm looking at right now. But that's only because I've dynastied with those teams before, and I like them. Especially building someone like North Texas up. And I like connecting with the players and everything. But it's coming back. It's all going to depend on the NIL voting and everything, and states wanting to pay players, and I don't think they're going to. Some states are just not going to do it. So I don't know if you're going to be able to get NCAA football back within the next 5 years. It's possible, but I don't see it being an NCAA title for a while until they can either convince people or they start or they find a way. I don't think they're going to find a way, but you never know. It's EA. And I also find it a weird correlation that they now have to compete in Star Wars. They have to compete. somewhere else. They're all of a sudden opening up NCAA or college football. What is going on? I've never seen this happen. So much gaming news and everything's come out. And this college football news could be some of the biggest news we've seen in a while. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I'm going to keep up with info and relay that info, because it'll be interesting. I want to hear a lot about it. They said they can't wait to work with the community in the coming months or coming time and development, which it'll be left to see if this is actually what EA says, because EA doesn't have a great record when it comes to this stuff. And also, I'm wondering who they put on the cover. That's going to be very interesting. But it'd be nice if, since they just rebooted that, they could reboot something like College Hoops, NFL Street, NBA Street, 2K Football. No, if something like that got revived. College Hoops was a good series. NFL Street was cool, or NBA Street was cool. 2K, ESPN 2K Football was a great game, very physics-based. That could really be done well today, and people would buy it. MVP Baseball, there's multiple franchises that'd be like, well, can we get those next? But it'll be interesting, and I'll definitely keep up with info, and I honestly can't wait. It could be too good to be true, who knows. Road to Glory is probably going to be in there. It'll be nice to see Road to Glory. It'll be interesting to see if they pick pitch or point-based recruiting. It'd be nice. They're probably not going to stick on the Infinity engine. I wish they'd create a new engine just for football and put Madden and NCAA on that. Or not NCAA. I keep calling it NCAA. College football on that. The likelihood of them doing that, very low, just because it's EA. I'd love to see it run on Infinity, but it's not going to. I've never really seen stuff like this happen, so it'll be interesting what they do. I'd love to see coaching staffs, like coordinators, again. I'd love to see a coaching tree. It'll be interesting to see what they do with conferences, too. I'd love to see generic conferences and generic teams and see, this is a loaded conference that's got multiple top 25 teams, and this is a conference that they're the bottom of the bottom. Let's say you had 10 conferences and you had your Power 5 kind of conferences and your Lower 5. That'd be interesting to see what they do with that, too, because I just thought of that. But it definitely all depends on what EA does and if EA listens to the community. But you never know with EA. It's, like I said, it's EA. They should literally copyright screwing over game franchises, because that's what they do. But it'll be interesting. So this is the end of the Common Flock. If you're on the Golden Dome, we're going to keep going. This isn't the end. If you're on the Common Flock, this is the end of the podcast.